coming out of the parking lot to pay for my ticket, these two black kids rolled up on me. And yes, thank you, sweetheart. All right, have a good one. You as well. These two black kids in Atlanta, rolled up on me on a bicycle. And I immediately told my son in the front seat to get the gun out of the car. And when they seen me reaching for it, they hurry up and ran off. Now, right then and there, I told my son, because I was scared. I was very scared. But my son is not even, then I don't even think he was 100 pounds. And here I am, just a defenseless mother. Now, did they have anything on them? I don't know, but I was willing to take it there. Who knows? I would have got in trouble for using that force against some people that I thought was threatening and was literally coming at me. So again, you just never know in those situations. But I'll yield my positions and just listen to the panel and everybody else.
Just to respond to your scenario, because you did ask a question, you pulling out the gun and your son pulling it out, that in itself could have been intimidation enough, and it sounds like it was, for the kids to leave. And in your situation, it worked, right? That was defense, just brandishing it. But if you would have shot them, that would have not been good. Now, if see, those kids had a gun pointed at you, if they had a gun pointed at you, by all means, yes, you can use deadly force.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I know it's speculation, but when Karmelo put his hand in his bag or unzipped his backpack and was like, now punch me and see what happens, that didn't scare him. That did not scare Austin.
Well, Austin him saying that in Texas is considered simple assault. Karmelo committed simple assault by threatening him by saying that. Punch me and see what happens. You can't egg on a fight.
Wait. Okay, now I'm confused.
It's close to simple assault.
Because in order for hold on. In order for him to do whatever he was gonna do, it was contingent upon Austin punching him by way of attacking him first. So you can't say by me saying, if you attack me, I'm gonna beat you down. If you attack me, I'm gonna tear your ass up. You can't say I'm assaulting you by saying that.
Well, that gets into hypotheticals. We don't really know what happened and what was said. I'm just saying.
But you just said it's simple assault because he said if you punch me, see what happens.
You can't threaten someone. But I don't really want to debate. I just wanted to come up and clearly state Texas law in regards to self-defense. Being that I am in Texas law enforcement,
but I do think we should further this more. So I'm curious though. Wait, because I'm confused, genuinely confused. I can't debate something I don't know. I'm asking, and you're saying that if you, sweetheart, if you seem to be coming at me, and I say to you, look, you touch me and see what happens. Or if you put your hands on me and see what happens, automatically, you don't think somebody was threatening me in order for me to say that. Touch me and see what happens. You don't think Austin threatened to touch him?
Even if it was, Miss Candid, even if it was the self-defense and the self-defense in itself was not proportional to that statement.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about, you're saying, but because you just put the assault charge on Karmelo just for telling him
simple assault.
But it doesn't matter. It's simple assault, but you put that on. But you put that on Karmelo.
I'll take that back. I'll retract that.
Okay, thank you. Then there's nothing else to talk about. It's okay.
It could be taken as simple assault. Just in Texas alone, threatening someone could be considered simple assault. Okay, Katie, you can go ahead and drop me. I hope everybody has a great day.
But you should stay up. I think some people may have some questions.
I gotta go. Yeah, okay, I'll stick around for 5 minutes. But guys, I really don't want to get in a heated debate. I've got a lot to do here, and I don't usually come up on the panel.
And I appreciate you for coming up. I really do. Hopefully, I'm not scaring you away. It's just
no, ma'am. I told you guys from the beginning. I just wanted to come up and state the Texas law and let you know that I really feel for both sides. I'm not taking sides just yet. I'm just trying to look at it from a law enforcement standpoint and Texas law and kind of clear that up. I've heard a lot of back and forth with Texas law, and then just we'll see what the courts say.
Powerful.
High-Low's got a
Call you
question
out,
for you.
powerful. Powerful, you lying. You have taken the side, and you have chosen how you felt about the situation without
Okay,
ever
guys.
being
Kaden, please go ahead and drop me. I don't wish to.
yeah, you have chosen the side because this is
Okay.
the number one thing that a lot of people has, you know what I'm saying, pointed out to Karmelo,
All right, guys.
a kid from not from that school under another
Hey,
school.
I hold on one second. I appreciate you. I forgot the name because I'm not looking at my phone.
Powerful.
Powerful, yeah, powerful. I appreciate you and
Hey,
your
listen.
stance. So thank you for that.
This is what I got to say. This is something that people is taking out of the equation too. Carmelo under another school's tent. He's the only kid supposedly I assume by himself, right? And we would say estimate 4 or 5 other kids under this tent also from this other school. So we got to take into consideration just by human nature, right? That if those individuals had something to say to Carmelo, somebody else spoke out also with him outside of just the individual who was unalive, right? We would take it into consideration, saying they were egging on in a certain form of fashion where they was backing the Metcalf kid, right? So that's where people got to understand.
I don't understand. Can you repeat that? I don't
Okay,
understand.
let's say for instance, it's 5, 6 kids that's in the same group, and I'm alone by myself, and this one kid choose to speak out to me, and I speak back towards him. Those kids that's with this other individual gonna support him and back him up, right?
Right.
So that's
Normally that's how it happens, but we don't know if that's what happened.
we don't know. I'm just saying assuming. I'm just gonna assume because they are kids, because we know how kids work. My friend into it, we all let you to a certain degree. So we gotta see it from that standpoint too, that he was under a group of kids too, that he was not belongs to and was told to leave. And we just by being humans know to a certain degree that when you ask to leave from somewhere that people don't want you, all those people gonna speak up all at once. And also, we got to take into consideration also if what harm was he causing by being under this tent? Why would you even say something to him?
He could be sitting on his own school stand. There's
Huh?
plenty of time.
But we can't take into consideration, but we just asked the question, why is the issue? What was the issue of him being under this tent just sitting down? If you
Well,
have
the rumor that there's news
if you have
reports.
sportsmanship, it shouldn't matter. It's a friendly game. We're competing
But news reports are saying there was theft going on at these track meets, that there were people being stolen from.
That's speculation. That's speculation.
No, that was news report.
That's speculation.
Sir, that was on the news.
Right, news report. What? Wait, hold on. What's speculation?
That
there was
the news
theft
had been
going on.
reporting there was theft going on at a lot of track meets when these people were out doing their running or whatever, and people weren't under the tents. People were going around taking stuff out of bags.
Yeah, I can 100% believe that because my
was a news
got
report.
stolen back in the days at a basketball game. They went in my book, and that happens all the time. That's very common. I can believe that. So again, and I told my friend this morning when we had this discussion. Hold on, Disco. That honestly, if the only way I see that Karmelo could have been up to no good, and I'm not trying to stereotype him, if Karmelo was at that tent trying to look into those people's bags or take something out of people's bags. That's the only way I can see why Austin would have stepped to him. But if Karmelo was just under the tent getting out of the rain, I mean, come on now. It was uncalled for. But if Karmelo was looked at as someone that could potentially be trying to go through people's belongings, then Austin had every right to approach Karmelo and tell him to leave.
Yeah, I don't know if that happened for sure. I just know the news reported there had been thefts at these track meets. That's all I know.
So, can I make a comment about like the tents and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, first thing I want to say is my prayers. I think it's so heartbreaking for both families. Both families.
Hold on, Disco. Let her go.
So I and I don't have like a definitive, strong opinion one way or the other until all the information comes out. But I will say this: so both my sons were Division I athletes. So we traveled all over the country pretty much year round and sat under tents. Okay. And it wasn't, I don't ever remember a time that kids from other teams or other schools ever sat under our tent. Now, again, so, and you can see from all the pictures, there are plenty of tents there in the stands, right? So there's probably tents from his school in the stands, and yet he chose to sit under that. So now we don't know anything yet, but it seems like it would be antagonistic if he chose, because he already had a kind of a beef, as some people say, from a party a couple weeks before, but he chose to sit under his opposing school's tent, okay? Then he also moved the stuff off the chair underneath that tent. He moved Austin's stuff off his chair and put it, on the ground next to the chair, and he sat in the chair. Again, he might not even know it's Austin's chair or whatever. Again, all the facts haven't come out, but I think that it could be looked at as antagonistic, that he did choose, out of all the tents in his own school's tents, he chose to go there. But the biggest thing that I have that I think is going to hurt him, and I think he looks like he's a really great kid. If you look up, Karmelo, it's not like he's a thug. He's a really upstanding student, an athlete. I mean, he's a really great kid. But
Correct.
Why on earth would he bring a flipping knife to a school event? That to me is just, that's what's, it's going to really hurt him, because I would have never in a million years, and we played in some really bad areas around the country sometime, never thought about, I'm going to bring a weapon on the school campus at a school athletic event, so why the heck did he bring that knife there? And then when, let's say Austin did push him or whatever happened and aggravated him, did whatever, but to say self-defense, instead of turning around and punching him, he took the time to reach into a bag, grab the knife. He took how many ever seconds that took, opened the bag, put his hand in the bag, grabbed the knife to stab him, and then stab him in the chest. It was like they were wrestling around on the ground, fighting, and he was like, Allison was choking him, and he was, trying to, save his own life. But again, we don't know all the facts, but those are the things that need to be looked at, because I just don't think, I don't think, who can give the answer? Who can answer that? Why on earth would he bring a weapon, a knife, to a school athletic event?
Because we know for a fact school events are not safe as we want them to be. We know for a fact that kids get bullied on. We know for a fact that kids be threatened. We know for a fact
back in the day we used to just fight, bro. We'd knuckle up and fight.
James, you fight me because you got some animosity, some type of feeling.
You up, bro.
Oh my God, you guys!
Y'all be nice, guys. We're not teaching any kids watching anything good.
No, come on.
Not good.
You can't see who's got the bigger D here. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but high-low. If you had a big meet like that, there was numerous teams. His school's tent was across the field.
Because I was right.
If you want to, if you're worried, if you're that worried of a person that you're going to carry the poker, because you're worried, something may go down or whatever, it seems like you would stick to your school's area to be safe. If you're that worried, yes, nowadays, look, I have two sons. I raised my sons that when I was growing up, people just did what everybody's saying. We, knuckled up, you fought, everybody went home. You might have got your butt whooped, but it is what it is. But nowadays with social media, people recording these fights, people are very quick to pull a weapon. And I had to teach my sons, I don't care how angry you get, I don't care how many words are said, you do not, because just because it starts out as a fist fight doesn't mean it's going to end that way. And that's something that's so that on both sides could have taken place with both of these boys, and there would have been no issue. We have to teach our children in the days we live in, you need to avoid the situation as much as possible.
Yeah, and again, the whole situation is just so heartbreaking and sad for both families right now. I can't even imagine, again, it wasn't like this Karmelo guy is a bully, thug, criminal kid that showed up to a school event, unannounced and I don't think he showed up to try to I'm going to go and mess somebody up, because he's an athlete himself, right? He was there, but like again, in 8 years of traveling all over the country, with both sons, even in college, they've now graduated college, played Division I sports in college. Since they're in junior high, we've never had, my son has never sat under somebody else's tent, nor has anybody else sat under our tent. And I was the team mom, so I was always around the tent, but again, that's really not even I don't think the biggest issue here, unless he was planning, like, he was pissed off from the party. We had an issue with Austin and he was going to try to instigate something or, whatever, or antagonize them. But again, we don't know that. So I don't feel it's unfair to jump to assumptions. It's just that's one thing that kind of needs to be looked at, or that they need to ask them, why didn't you go to your own school tent? There's a million tents there. Why do you choose, but I think that's a really small piece of the puzzle here, but I
don't think that's a small piece. I think that would talk about motive. And you need to know why he was under the tent, whether it was to just get out of the rain, or could it be something else? I think because depending on that answer, Austin, like I said, may have had every right to approach him and tell him to leave.
And as far as when you, like, your answer was like, when I said, why would you bring a knife to school then? You were saying, because this day and time, my kids just graduated college. Through all these years, never, ever, ever. When we traveled to the East Coast, we played in some really tough towns where we as parents took a bus and, like, we weren't even driving our rental cars and to these areas because that's how tough they were. But these are bigger fields for bigger tournaments. Never, ever once though. And we were, be nervous driving through certain neighborhoods, but guess what? Never once dawned on anybody to ever bring a weapon. And again, Karmelo was not a criminal. He wasn't a thug, entering the school for that intention, like, oh, I'm just going to go and mess somebody up. He was an honor student and an athlete himself, right? I mean, so I don't know. That's what's probably going to come out. Was there some intention there? Why did he put that knife in his bag?
It seems to me that there was some kind of beef there.
It evidently in those communities, but weren't as bad as you thought they were, that you was told, because every time you went, there was no incident. So those communities couldn't have been as bad as you've been told.
There was an incident, or if there was, obviously I never seen them, because these would be a lot of times bigger tournaments. But a lot of times, again, we also traveled around the country. Our high school did, because we were a Division I high school, so we traveled, for our spring breaks and all that, and we played some, like, again, pretty tough neighborhoods. But and maybe some of these tournaments there was something that I never seen. But again, they know, these athletes know. They're done. Their school career, their athletic career, if they got caught, that's a felony. You cannot bring a weapon, especially a current athlete. He wasn't a bystander viewing. He's like an athlete showing up to a school event. That is.
I'm going to tell you something about a weapon, right? If a knife is under 5.5 inches, is not, illegal.
Right.
So I have to say, there's been a lot of stuff
for a student
that's
to
been
carry a
coming
knife
out.
on. It
There's
is
been a lot of
weapon.
things coming out, like allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly because it hasn't been, proven or something, but there's been kids that go to the school and, kids play telephone, so who knows what. But apparently they have had an altercation at a party once before. Now this is all allegedly. And that's why it's like, allegedly he was, it was personal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I said
there was something going on with them. There was something going on with them before that. They had to be.
Right.
Yeah, well, the allegation
also,
is that something was said to Karmelo's girlfriend at a party, and it escalated.
Yes.
Right. And that's why the kid was saying, "Get out of here, bro! Like, just leave."
And then
We're saying allegedly.
We all have to kind of
hold on 1 second. Let me get JP. JP, what say you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been listening for a minute now, but overall, I mean, he's going to have to, at the end of the day, prove self-defense. I didn't read the police report or anything like that. Is who claimed that someone put his hands on him? Is he claiming that, or is there a witness like backing him up saying that?
Yeah, many witnesses.
Police.
But there are, all of the witness statements said that Austin put his hands on Karmelo.
Okay.
First.
So now my next point would be, how do we know that? I'm not taking either side, but how do we know that Alston wasn't threatened, acting in self-defense? How do we know that?
Right. And kind of piggyback of what you're saying, like the reason why in the case that they have had an altercation before and this happened, it could lead to premeditation, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
That's why it gets sticky, because it could go two ways, right? Heck, it could go three ways. But I mean, the two ways that we're looking at is it was, well, we can't really say it was unprovoked, but meditated, and he was trying to get his lick back.
But the police
It's just
statement
Turn the seat, please.
Yeah.
they're both athletic. He's bringing a knife to attract me. They're
Don't
both
nobody know he had a
athletic.
knife.
Just use your. Well, he knew he had a knife. Yeah, he knew he had a knife, though. You know what I'm saying? So he brought it there for a reason. I don't know the whole bullying story or not. We're just gonna have to see the investigation. You know what I'm saying? But he brought that there for a reason. He went towards that tent for a reason. So we're gonna have to see. If he was being bullied, no one deserves to be bullied, but also no one deserves to be stabbed in the heart when he has hands too. Just throw hands, bro. That's what my mom used to have me do. If I got bullied as a kid, you know what she did? She would drive me right to the bully's house, have me fight the bully right there. Hands
But
on
people
hands.
started saying throw hands. This is one person versus multiple. So y'all started saying throw hands, but we don't know how many people were under that tent.
But
That's
no
the
one
whole.
jumped him, and no one else threatened him, as far as we know.
We
No
don't know who
statements come out.
threatened
If
what.
the allegations,
We're only assuming.
are true, then Karmelo was assaulted by a group of people that initially led to his frustration and maybe wanting to instigate something, but maybe he did feel threatened because he was already jumped allegedly.
But doesn't the police report dispute that?
No,
There's no police report
I'm
out
talking
yet.
about, so
Please,
what I'm
brother,
saying
stay.
is like, okay, what I'm saying is
My battery
prior
died.
to,
Oh, Mom to Minnie's been
sorry.
trying to say something.
Oh, okay. Mom to Minnie. Sorry about that. I'm just getting home, so I couldn't really see you. Go ahead, Mom to Minnie. Oh, did her phone die?
It
Mom
might
to
have. She
Minnie.
said it was about to die.
No,
There's
can you
the-
hear me? You
Yeah,
can't hear me?
I can
I'm
hear
here.
you now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to the stand your ground law that the guy was speaking of. I was on your live last night and I took your poll, and I have to say, after listening last night and today, like, I don't have a strong opinion on this, but I'm definitely learning more and my view is kind of shifted. And when I look,
Oh, shoot.
All right, I'm gonna put that poll. I'm gonna put a poll back up. Go ahead.
am I gone? Can you still? Okay, good. So the thing about the tent that you guys were talking about, the only thing legally that matters with that is two things. He would have to have, for self-defense to work, Karmelo would have had to have a legal right to be there, which he did. The other thing with the tent is the provocation factor. You can't claim self-defense if you were the one who provoked it. So I think it's going to come down to that. And like Candid was saying, some reports, it looks like Austin was the one who kind of provoked it. But then if the intent behind Karmelo was to go to that, under that tent to provoke the interaction, then it could come on him. And then the imminent danger that other guy was talking about, it actually says it's perceived danger. So even if there wasn't, let's say Austin did not have a weapon, but there's cases where it looks like a weapon or it's a BB gun or something. If they can prove that Karmelo had the perception of imminent danger, and that could be to like what Hai was talking about, like multiple aggressors could speak to the proportionality of his response, and it could also speak to the perception of imminent danger, like how many people were there, the size of them and all those elements. So if you actually, like, I went down a little bit of rabbit hole with the law, he's going to have to prove a lot of those things, and the only one that was standing out in my mind was that proportionality piece of the response. But he does have a chance to prove that provoking element, because what you said, Candid, if that's true, he was provoked.
Right.
Momo,
So,
I got something to say on that too. In actuality, he don't have to prove anything.
1 second.
The state has to prove that.
Hello, 1 second. So I'm gonna put that poll back up, but New York Times. I just got home, so I didn't really read any new articles. I've been out showing properties all day. So this is what New York Times, New York Post. I'm sorry, has recently reported at 3:14 Eastern Standard Time. It's now 5:02. Carmelo Anthony's lawyer says murder of teen football star Austin Metcalf could have been self-defense once $1 million bond lowered. So this is what's being reported, and this is the news right now. So
Guys, the family of 17, good morning, guys. The family of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf has been sharing stories about him, but later this morning, we are expecting to learn more about what led up to the fatal stabbing from court documents today. Now, police here in Frisco, they do say that 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the chest fight at Kirkendall Stadium Wednesday morning. Now, the family of Metcalf says they believe the fight started in the stands over a seating issue at the track meet. The two teenagers, by the way, attended different schools. Austin's brother was at the meet and told Fox News the confrontation started with words being exchanged and it escalated quickly.
And the kid said some aggressive stuff, reckless stuff. They also try to handle the problem.
Austin was always one to step up. He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. He's just going to be so missed by mostly our family, but this whole community has really wrapped their arms around us. Well, Anthony is in the Collin County Jail and is charged with murder. His bond is set at $1 million. Frisco ISD is saying that they are rescheduling the track meet next Monday, and it held at Little Elm High School. For Good Day, I'm TCM Muzinga.
now, based on what we all just heard, including his mom and brother talking about it, there was actually a fight that happened. Now, did any of us know about that fight that allegedly happened? Just curious.
They were
It was
talking
not in
about
the
the fight
police
I knew
report.
about. The fight that I understood about was 2 weeks prior to the meet at a party because of a thing with the girlfriend, and that's where the phone so say got smashed. That's all I know about. That's all hearsay.
So that was the mom and the brother in a news interview. Looks like today at 3:14. So there was a fight at the actual track meet that occurred in a stadium in the stand that then went over to something else. So again, it's a lot. It's a lot, man. Told you.
There's a lot
It's
of moving pieces for sure. I mean, we're gonna find out more, and if they do lower the bond, I think that's very telling.
What the brother, they only posted apparently partial of what the brother said. Because remember, I read to you the news interview with him. He said that exact same thing, but there was a lot more to the statement that I read to you earlier.
Yeah, but this is the latest one, and there's been several people that has interviewed him. I don't know that kid. I don't know. Okay.
You know, I think a lot's gonna come out too. They're gonna interview, as you know, this has become a national huge right now in our nation. So believe me, they are going to be questioning. They're going to be questioning all of Carmelo's friends, saying, "Did he talk about showing up with a weapon? Did he talk about wanting to go and get back at this Austin kid or whatever?" You know, I think there's so many more things are going to come out. And if it shows like no, none of that happened, you know, I mean, again, all the evidence is going to present itself once they have the opportunity to interview probably hundreds, I'm sure, of students. And friends.
But the
And
only thing that
on
matters is what transpired
CBS
on that
News
day.
has an update. It says new details emerge in fatal stabbing of Frisco athlete at track meet,
Hold on.
and it was
I'm
18
looking-
hours.
Hold on 1 second. I'm looking up these reports myself. I just want us to speak on what's been said already because there's a lot of conflicting stories. And right now, what's on the floor is the one that we just heard, and this is within the last hour. So just give me one moment while I look at the other ones as well.
I couldn't
But
hear the other one real good. Can you go over or maybe just state what it said about there was a fight somewhere else at that day and then it moved to where it was at? What did it say exactly?
I can go back to it, but we have new people on the panel. So, I mean, you all can, Valley Homegirl and Con 40K is here. I just want to read a few of these real quick before I give you all another one. So, Con 40K, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, the main reason, like I've been following this for a while, people keep commenting. There's a bit of a misconception when it comes to the claim of self-defense. Like people who are smarter than me. I mean, I've worked in law enforcement and I work armed security, so I deal with it somewhat. But I know people who are smarter than I am about this. Like they're actually worked as lawyers and stuff. They've talked about the self-defense claim here. It's not going to hold up here because when it comes to self-defense, you are allowed to defend yourself using justifiable or reasonable force. This did not occur in this case because from all the articles I've read and everything I've looked into this, yes, there was a fight and an altercation. And at most, from what I understand, Austin put his hands on Anthony and either pushed him or grabbed him. And an immediate response from Anthony was to pull out a knife and stab Austin. That is not going to be considered reasonable or justifiable self-defense because you got to look at the other circumstances leading up to this because, one, this is a school event. No weapons are allowed by any student to be carried onto the public event, and Anthony was carrying a weapon illegally there, so we need to figure out why he was carrying that in the first place. That's the first thing we have to address because we don't know how long he's been carrying this for. It could have been just for this event or it could have been longer, but we need to establish that. Two, at the end of the day, was Austin wrong to put his hands on Anthony? Yes, but Anthony took it way too far because according to all the reports and all the stuff we have so far, people said that it wasn't like something that gradually led to this. Anthony went from 1 to 100 in a couple of seconds. And that's why the self-defense claim isn't really going to hold up in court because they're going to have to try to argue that how he feared for his safety, you know, when somebody literally just put his hands on him when he was the one armed with a deadly lethal weapon.
But see, the thing about it, Con, is you not understand the state gonna have to prove motive. So he don't have to prove nothing because the state has to prove that he's guilty, and that's what y'all not understanding.
Well, no, he is guilty. Well, no. He admitted it. He publicly.
No, he said he did it in self-defense.
It's still being investigated. So I think we have to also take into account that they're going to start bringing these kids that were present in for questioning. And you never know. Some people might be covering for some people. There's a lot of information that's going to come out when you're in that room with an investor. When you're in that room with someone questioning you, things are going to be coming out and we may not know. We just know what's been reported. So we can't really make a clear cut. Yeah, well, he's going to do this and because he said this. Yes, you can say a lot of things and they can be used against you, but there's also forensic evidence that's going to be called on play, as well as other people being interviewed, and they will be taken as well because it's going to be up to the jury at the end of the day.
I understand that, but
people not understand and realizing is
please don't interrupt me.
With him admitting that he did it, not saying I'm guilty.
Hello, 1 second. Let Con go again because Con still
has. The point I'm trying to make is that since it's pretty clear that the defense is going to be trying to go with the self-defense angle, they're already facing a huge uphill battle due to the circumstances and the information we have currently available, what led up to this incident, because Anthony is going to try to claim self-defense, but it's not going to go well for him because under all the circumstances that we have, that's the claim for self-defense is not going to apply, especially when it comes to Texas law, because when it comes to self-defense, you can defend yourself using justifiable and reasonable force. Someone pushing you.
What do you want this money for, anyways? I'm so sorry. I'm looking at their family GoMe. They have a goal of $270,000 for what? A funeral costs like $10,000.
But nowadays people are trying to make profit off of these situations. It's very sad.
That's the thing. If you're going to donate, be careful. There's a lot of fake ones out now too.
There's a whole bunch of GoFundMe's.
But the thing about it is too, people start saying self-defense. it's a stand your ground law. So stand your ground.
It doesn't apply in this case.
Yes, it does, because we
No,
don't
it
know.
does
We don't
not.
have all the
Listen,
evidence. So
listen,
to say
listen,
that
listen,
this
understand.
applies and what you
This
believe
guy's
is
telling you
fact,
he's
like
in the
this is
police
still,
force.
yes, he's in the police force, but we have to take into account
Police don't know
there's
the law.
still, this
That's
is
that's
still
another
under
thing.
investigation,
You
and we're
gotta
still
stop
finding out more
interrupting one
information.
person at a time, please.
But I mean,
My
again,
thing is-
I'm not trying. The point I'm trying to make is that they're going to have. I mean, yeah, the defense to keep Anthony, but it doesn't. But the problem is in this case, too, what people don't want to talk about is that when Anthony was arrested, he said, and I quote, "It's not alleged. I did it." He admitted that he did it. So, so the fact that he already admitted it, that's already going to be used against him and his case
But
going
he's not,
forward as
no
well.
one is
You
saying
can't
he
ignore
didn't
that.
do it. No one is saying
He's-
he was not
in
the
order to
one.
say
No,
so-
I understand that. The point being, though, is that since he admitted that he did it, it's going to make the defense's job harder to prove self-defense because he admitted that, yes, I stabbed and I
No,
killed
because
Austin.
That doesn't make
that's not-
sense.
That doesn't.
Right.
That really does not make sense. He's saying, yes, I did it. I was protecting myself. So that's going to make it easier because the reason why he said he did it, I was protecting myself. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't
before he
I don't
said that,
think
he actually
they're
asked the
arguing-
cop if
I'm
it could
sorry,
be
I'm speaking.
self-defense.
I don't think that he's arguing that he didn't do it. Everyone knows he did it. He said he
Clearly.
did
Okay,
it.
but
But
that's the
reason
problem is
why
that his
he
claim
did
is the problem is this claim for self-defense is going to be very difficult to hold up because self-defense only usually applies in cases where justifiable or reasonable force to defend yourself.
But if
Austin-
that's your
And that's
opinion.
why it's
That's your
currently
opinion
under-
because
that's
that's your
most-
opinion because we don't know all the evidence. We don't know, like I stated, it was one person under a tent, a school tent. We don't know if those guys came together as a whole to try to force him out. We just know that what's been reported, those two individuals passed cross words, and he asked him, "Don't do this." He did it. He said, "Don't do it again." He did it again, and he reacted. That's what we know. But all the
That's
other
not a
variables
proper
that we-
response. though,
all the
Dan.
other
Okay, and
variables
that is
that-
your personal opinion, but it's not currently fact. Everything we're seeing and hearing now is all alleged. And until they're done with their investigation and more information comes forward, you can't just assume that he didn't have the right to stand his ground or self-defense. Based off of what he's saying, we can
So you're
really
saying
look at the
your
police
logic
report.
is literally saying that somebody pushing you is the right to pull out a knife and stab them.
No, you're missing. Don't misconstrue what I'm trying to get across. The point I'm trying to make to you is just like you're sitting here trying to throw around that you have, worked with law enforcement, so you know all these things. There is a laws and there is a process into how these cases are handled and how people become convicted. It's still an active investigation. So we are just making assumptions and talking about our own personal opinions based off of what we see so far. So based off of what you see so far, which is just surface level stuff that's come out because this has made national news, has led you to believe that he can't say that this is self-defense. Now, mind you, as this case begins to unfold, we will know more and the jury will make their decision when it goes to court. So, I mean, all of this stuff is alleged. Like, you're just making it seem like because you've worked with law enforcement. I was in the military. I worked with CID. Okay,
I'm
that was the
ex-military
department
too.
I
And I
was
wasn't
in.
trying to
And
imply that I
everything
knew
has a
everything.
process. You do realize there's something called digital forensics. So they're going to go through cell phones. They're going to go through social media accounts. They're going to interview the people who were there. There's a day that you know this and that and that. Like, common sense says that there's still more information that we need to make any type of judgment.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to claim that I know everything. I'm just stating that everything I know about self-defense and when it's applied, you can defend yourself, but it has to be justifiable and reasonable force to defend yourself. In this case, it did not happen.
And we're
So-
going to find out if that happened. You don't know for sure.
The
Well,
But see, the
prosecution
thing
has
is-
to
doesn't look
disprove
different
right now.
self-defense.
The thing
When
is,
it's-
stand your ground and self-defense are two totally different laws. That's what y'all got to understand. You're fighting self-defense, but stand your ground is totally opposite from self-defense because anybody has a right to defend themselves under the stand your ground without being the aggressor or the victim. See, the victim can become the aggressor, and the aggressor become the victim. So the stand your ground law is totally different from the self-defense law, and that's what people got to understand and realize.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make here is that trying to claim self-defense is still going to be very difficult because it's literally the result was somebody pushed you. The result was I'm going to stab you in the heart. That's not a good look for someone trying to pull the self-defense argument because he used more than reasonable justifiable force to defend himself.
But you remember the question was actually if you punch me and then he stabbed. So that's the point that you taking away. You just saying he pushed him.
So
but
I've heard he was either pushed or he grabbed his shirt. Either one of the two. But that still doesn't justify somebody stabbing.
Can we agree that putting your hands on somebody in general is considered assault? And if someone wanted to, they could. That's a means to feel threatened.
Yeah, but not to murder someone.
Now listen. Now please understand.
But absolutely,
I don't agree with murder.
Homegirl, yes, absolutely.
I don't agree with murder.
Listen to what Jeff Metcalf, Austin's dad, said. I'm not trying to judge, but what kind of parents did this child have? What was he taught? He brought a knife to a track meet and he murdered my son by stabbing him in the heart. The guy was in the wrong place and they asked him to move and he balled up, became angry and aggressive. This is murder, Jeff Metcalf said. You know what? I already forgive this person. Already. God takes care of things. God is going to take care of me. God is going to take care of my family, he added. So this is the problem that I have with his father and other people who are not reporting the fact that Austin put his hands on this boy. I denounce the fact that this child stabbed that boy in the heart. It's not justified in any way. Self-defense is, but I don't think what he did was right. Okay, I just don't. I think it may be a heat of the moment type of thing.
He just lost his son, so
exactly. So of course the father is going to say that. If that happened to my son, of course I'd be all over like, oh my God, you murdered my son. If I just lost my son 2 days ago.
It's murder, like cold blood murder, when you know darn well other things happened that transpired in cause.
But murder is only called murder when it's premeditated, and I bet you already know the defense. I mean, the prosecution is going to try to claim, and which they, again, like you said, they've got to collect all the evidence and do, like you said, digital forensic evidence, all around the clock, all the evidence. But that's what they're going to go for because he intentionally sat under an opposing school's tent. He sat under the tent of the kid that he just allegedly got into an argument or a confrontation with at a party or whatever a couple weeks before, and he brought a knife with him. So unfortunately, those things.
But do we know? But hold on. Do we? Because you said intentionally. Do we know
that's what the defense is going to try premeditated?
That's what the prosecution's going to go for.
But again, okay. But my thing is this.
Which it might not be. It might not be, but that's what the prosecution's going to do.
Right. It may not be. So
right.
We the people on the internet, on TikTok, we can't say that Karmelo intentionally did this. And we also can't say that Austin intentionally became the aggressor towards Karmelo. Karmelo could have very well went and sat at the wrong tent unintentionally just to get out the ring.
Right. Again, and that's why the facts need to come out because we all can guess. We all can play,
underneath these tents, people's personal belongings are there. Austin had every right to step to him and ask him to leave because their personal stuff was there. Now the fight, they said there was a fight that broke out. That is what I don't know what's going on with that. I want more details on the fight. I want more details on
From
that.
what I've heard and read, it said they exchanged words before Austin pushed or grabbed Anthony, and then that's when Anthony just pulled out a knife and just stabbed. Like that's what I've read and heard so far.
It sounds like it happened over seconds, not minutes. It
was it was quick.
But we also got to take into consideration that they was on bleachers too. So we got to take it into consideration. They were on bleachers.
Right, under a tent. Always, we've got 20 tents on bleachers. When I travel with my boys, we set up our tents in the bleachers, if there's not enough room on the field. And a lot of times there's not, because again, this is a track meet. So they're using the track. Otherwise, a lot of times the football games, we set our tents up on the track, but this is a track meet. So the tents are set up for all.
I ran track and field. That was common. Usually when
Yes.
we go to a track meet, they put the tents in the bleachers and they always tell teams, okay, hey, team A, you're in this south corner of the bleachers. They always direct people where to go. So the question now becomes that's another question we ask. So if Anthony and his track team were told to go to a different section, but he still chose to go
But
to
the
this
tents
section.
are logo.
And that's the thing.
The tents are logos. They're not white.
My
They're not
thing
just
is,
Photo tents. They have the school logo on them.
I just have to say, I think we have to understand, if you ran track, right? Anyone who's played track is one of the most lax sports when it comes to security. Kids are wandering around until their heats or their events are up, and no one's really paying attention to what's going on. The idea that these tents were specifically set up, typically, the only people that set up tents in the bleachers are the parents, some of the coaches. Let me finish. From
Not
my
for track and field.
experience,
No.
No, but they already said those
Let me
tents were
finish.
team tents.
Let me finish.
Hundreds of tournaments where we took our own tents.
Can I finish? Like I said, you took your own, correct? So let me
No,
finish.
no, our team
see, and this is the thing, you're not listening. You're
Wait,
just
hold
talking.
on,
Valley, you're not
hold
listening.
on, ladies, 1 second. So, Miss Sandy, you've gone to a lot of different meets and having tents.
Over 100.
No one has ever came over to your tent from another school or another place.
Never. Only time as a team mom. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your question.
To get some water, to ask y'all to hold something or anything of that nature?
No. Well, now I'll tell you this: not when they're older, because when we all, as you know, these tents, a lot of them too. The kids bring their water bottles and that, but we also bring a lot of them. We bring the 5-gallon, Gatorade buckets and all that. And when my kids were younger, they played lacrosse for most of the traveling, but for even football. Now, younger, I would invite sometimes other kids in when it was really hot, saying, "Hey, they didn't have water bottle. Hey, come in, come get." But again, I
did that, and I know that me being it's been a long time since I've been to high school. I graduated in 2007, but I played sports, and I know
ran track and field, so I can actually touch on this a little bit.
I played ball, so I know that parents and the people under the tents, they did things with the kids. No child was really turned away and stuff like that. So,
but when you get older, it's different.
It's different when you're older.
In high school, not middle school.
In high school is different though. High school is different.
So can I explain? So this is the thing. This whole idea that high school is different.
But the tents, as you know, most tents, 90% of the tents are marked. They're logoed with their school or their colors.
It's Miss Sandy. It's cool. I played ball in high school, not middle school or any of that. But this is what the lawyer has said. I want to hear this. Okay.
The fatal case that's gained national attention and hit home for a lot of parents. The fatal stabbing at a high school track meet in Frisco. One teen died and another is behind bars, claiming he did it in self-defense. NBC5's Maria Guerrero has the new detail.
There are incredibly difficult days ahead for Austin Metcalf's family as they prepare to lay him to rest. Meanwhile, his accused killer remains here behind bars at the Cullen County Jail, his family preparing his defense. Retained this morning, defense attorney Derek Walpole agreed to speak on behalf of Karmelo Anthony's family.
I know that my client said that it was self-defense. I don't have any reason to disbelieve that. But I need to develop facts and talk to people and figure out what's going on before I make any statements about what I think happened. I don't have any reason to think it wasn't self-defense at this time.
Walpole will seek to lower Anthony's $1 million bond next week. Wednesday morning's deadly encounter at Kirkendall Stadium, witnessed by about 40 student athletes and a handful of coaches as detailed in arresting documents, sparked, witnesses said, when Memorial High School junior Austin Metcalf told Karmelo Anthony to move from underneath Memorial's pop-up tent that was being used during the downpour. Witnesses said Anthony, a Centennial High School student, immediately opened his bag, reached in, and told the victim, "Touch me and see what happens." When Metcalf pushed him, witnesses said Anthony pulled a black knife from the bag, stabbed Metcalf in the chest, and ran away. While no school resource officers were inside the stadium, one was nearby. City police also rushing in, covering the knife with a blue tarp. Caught nearby, Anthony reportedly admitted to officers, "I did it. He put his hands on me. I told him not to," before asking officers if it could be considered self-defense and if the injured teen was going to be okay. The victim lay dying in his twin brother's arms. Grateful for the outpouring of support, Metcalf's mother, Megan, releasing a statement to NBC5 today saying, "Tragedies inevitably raise questions that remain unanswered. We will entrust the detectives handling the investigation to determine the circumstances surrounding Austin's passing, while our family, Hunter and I, prioritize commemorating and honoring Austin." Maria Guerrero, NBC5.
I'll tell you what, that didn't sound like a mother. Sound like somebody prepared that statement for her, because her other statement, she said, "I don't," and I paraphrase, "I don't feel the same way as my husband," basically his dad. "I'm very angry at that boy. My son is gone." That sounds like a mother. That statement right there didn't sound like her. But nevertheless, you see how the news lady actually paused and didn't say to punch me and see what happens. Didn't say anything about a lot of things that's being reported. So again, you heard his lawyer who said he doesn't have any reason to believe that it wasn't self-defense. So he believes, the lawyer believes he acted in self-defense as well.
Well, of course,
That's
Yeah, but
not right.
the lawyer
Of course.
said, the lawyer also said he has to wait for more information. He said that he has no reason currently, but he's got to wait for more information to come out, the investigation to be finished.
Right. So
I mean,
right,
there's a
but
reason
I'm
why a
just
lot of
saying,
people think that
regardless of
Trying to
all of
debunk
that,
everything.
making a deal.
regardless of all of that, the lawyer said he doesn't have any reason as of yet to believe it wasn't self-defense. So
Correct. But and the statement was also made, Valley, to answer your question or your statement from earlier, that he was under their teams. These teams, if you've seen the pictures of the actual site, they had logos. Each high school had logoed
But okay,
tents.
but that,
These
I
were
don't think anyone's
Well, it was
arguing.
going down raining.
So
That's
real
what
quick,
y'all take out of
I think she's
consideration.
talking to me, but I just want to clarify.
Hold
real
on,
quick.
hold on 1 second.
Mhm.
Again, no one's arguing whether or not he was under the wrong tent. So the logos.
Well, somebody said it wasn't. Somebody said those tents weren't assigned, and I was simply stating yes, they were. They belong to different teams.
That's the point I was trying to make earlier, because track team high school tents, they have their colors and logos for it's obvious for everyone to see who goes where. So that's him saying, "Oh, I got lost and I just sat somewhere else." That's not going to hold up.
Right. So
all right, Ms. Cooper, thank you for joining us. Let me bring up somebody else. Mr. Hilo, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna bring up somebody else.
I gotta leave here in a second. Do you mind if I just get a final say in here very quickly? I gotta leave here. So
thank you so much. Go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta leave here soon. The bottom line I'm trying to make is that like this situation should have never have happened. Like we can all agree on that. It was something that started from a small situation and escalated significantly too quickly. But at the end of the day, like that media report you just read, if that is true, that when Austin asked Anthony to move and he immediately got aggressive, then that's not going to work in his favor. But at the end of the day, two families' lives were destroyed, and that's what people need to understand and need to stop making this politically and stop bringing race into this, because it's got nothing to do with race.
Right, I agree with that. The news lady just said he immediately, after he was told to leave, he immediately reached in. He was
earlier, Candy.
Huh?
I told you that earlier when I read what the actual lawyer said, and people were like, "No, that's not what he said." His comments when Karmelo's lawyer, they were stating it was someone else, and when it was the actual, he had already gave his thought on it, what he felt it was at the time, which all the evidence isn't out there. But what people are doing is trying to fix it where as if Anthony was the aggressor, just because he went up under the tent, just because he should have walked away. They're fixing the narrative, they're changing the narrative where he should have walked away after the boy said something to him, or he should have went against someone that was a proper authority. He should have done this. It's always what he should have done versus what he did do, which is defend himself. Unfortunately, yes, it led to the point to where he unalived the boy, but it's always about what he should have done versus what actually per the law states he was allowed to do, which is defend himself. Unfortunately, the boy was unalive in that, but he did not. He was not the aggressor. I don't care how you look at it. It's not the aggressor.
Unless
And
he meditatively walked under that tent to antagonize the other kid because they
there says nothing, but there is nothing in the
that could be
report.
that as aggressive behavior.
So
No.
really quickly, y'all, the reason why that may be refuted in court is because I know for a fact, and anyone who has been in the track and field, specifically track and field, kids know each other from other schools. Kids walk in between different tents. You go and mingle with people you haven't seen. That is a common thing that happens. I mean, people know each other. So to say that, oh, he just, because we don't know, maybe he knew someone in that tent and he was there socializing.
Have heard all
And
types
the
of
issue
things.
is, all this
you
stuff.
guys,
So, I mean, there's so much.
The issue is going to be.
Okay, one person at a time. Who's saying?
I was asking.
Okay, go ahead.
After her.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what's weird to me is that this story sounds like they made this story out to be that this kid just randomly sat under a tent to a group of strangers. Well, they obviously knew each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly because of this other altercation.
Yeah, it was a few days prior to that. It was a party that broke out, and it was a
Right.
Also, Metcalf's goons, they got onto Karmelo's ass and they pushed him around. They caused him to break his phone from there.
So, and that's what's
problematic
I want to finish my statement real quick.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think that they knew
So
each
then
other.
that means I don't think we should. I'm gonna just say this real quick. I'm gonna just say
Allegedly.
that. Yeah, when you say that, then it looks like Carmelo's actions were premeditated.
Exactly. What looks like his actions were premeditated?
Because if he the fact that you're hold on one second, the fact that you're saying, hey, they knew each other from an altercation that took place 2 days prior,
Allegedly.
that means that allegedly, so that means Karmelo may have took his little behind over there to that tent where them boys was with that knife to do some bits to do some things.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't like that because that's again that is a.
Then y'all better not bring up that part and whatever
It's
happened.
a possibility, y'all. Everything is a possibility.
Right.
It's alleged until proven.
Hey, can I speak 1 second? That's what's going to be problematic.
You had the floor, Mika Styles or Meek Styles. You do have the floor. Go ahead.
I think for me, it's still a question of is it something, and I know when I'm about to say, I feel like I don't have my words because I'm a little nervous.
Just be candid. It's okay.
But
we the jury or prosecutors. You good?
I think that there's so much that's missing in this conversation, and I feel like what I am tired of hearing is that, and you guys have been saying it this entire time, and I just want to say it one more time. I am so tired of hearing people make final
I'm going for a walk
assumptions of what happened. Out of the 100, and I'm not saying everybody on here because everybody hasn't had a chance to speak, but if we really want to be real about it, it's 172 of us in this live. None of us was present, right? So I just feel that in any case, I don't care if it's black against white, I don't care if it's black against black, I don't care if it's white against white or whatever the race may be. What I am tired of is that the media and people make final decisions on cases that none of us were present for.
Exactly.
And that's why you have a criminal justice system that has to take its proper steps to make a final as to what they've come up with to make a final say. And I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. I have always been taught, and this doesn't make it okay, but I do want parents to own up to their children's issues as well. Right. Even in tragedy. My mama have always told me, don't put your hands on nobody because guess what? You don't have control of how they're going to react.
Right.
And so with that being said, I do want at some point, I hope that parents can really be real about when these issues happen, for them to own up and say, I wish my son had him not put his hands on him. to take a little bit of, because sometimes when we react to things, there's always repercussions.
Right.
And it's not okay that Karmelo took this kid's life. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
Because they both deserve to be here and living out the rest of their years to their fullest. I hate that this young man he's probably gonna go to prison. He probably will. I don't know that for sure. But if we look at prior issues of cases, he probably will get some time. But my thing of it is his life is over. The other kid's life is over, and it's unfair. And not only that, I'm just one of those people that I wish the world would say, I understand that the parents have lost their son. He is no longer breathing. And you know what? Even though Karmelo is alive, the face, the scrutiny of their child being looked as a monster, their child not gonna have the rest of his life to if it goes in the worst way of him going to prison for forever. They're grieving in their own terms as well. And I hate that we don't give both sides the same level of understanding.
Right.
Parents have lost their children. And that's all I want to say. I did not want to waste a whole lot of time on your panel, because I know there's other people that want to speak. But I wish that we would fairly say that both parents could possibly lose, one definitely, but the other ones, they're having a tough time too. Do we forget that they're parents? And to say that this kid, the dad saying that the kid wasn't raised properly, let's just say this.
Okay.
We could say that about your child because he put his hands on somebody, allegedly. We also can say that we can't make either one of these children be considered thugs in either way. I've seen that on different people saying that Austin was a thug. Some people saying that Anthony was a thug. Well, they seem like kids that had great educations, that were working hard in both of their fields of athleticism. I just think we need to stop name calling, let this case run its course, see what happens, pray for both families, and also teach your children. Don't put your hands on nobody. I don't care what the situation is. When something is wrong, what the situation, don't grab their backpack, don't give that. Keep your hands off.
Gotcha. So
Can I say something?
And I'm going to that. Y'all have a good
Can I say something after her?
Right.
I
So
haven't said anything in a minute.
yeah, y'all hold on one second. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? So at
Yes, we
this
can
time,
hear
I
you.
also
Yeah.
want to remind you on again. I'm gonna have Sheldon on the live 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's running against Jasmine Crockett for their district seat in Congress. So again, Sheldon Daniels will be here on the Canadian American Show at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time during our Walk and Talk Politics session. So hopefully you all can show at 11 there, since we're all engaged in what's going on over in Texas. So come there. Agree with what you just said. The lady that just left. Both parents lost a child. Both of them. Because ain't no way. And I said this before. 1 second, I'm gonna land. I'm gonna be very quickly. Last night in prayer, when I thought about it, what came to my mind was, just hear me out. Back in the days, ML, you know how infanticide was a thing back in slavery. So instead of a mother allowing her child to go into bondage, a lot of those mothers unalived their children intentionally to prevent them from going into bondage. Because bondage, they wouldn't have been around them. They didn't know what was going to happen. So the way that I see this as well, I would never want my child to, number one, die, nor will I ever want my child to go to prison. That's my child dying every damn day. So I feel the loss, and I feel for both of them. My condolences to both families. I know Austin is no longer here. I can't say Austin was a bully. I can only report what they said. I can't say Karmelo Lubahan wasn't wrong. I do believe Karmelo was wrong. And I just want y'all to know that my position is I wish they were both still here. And both children made a mistake. I don't know if you all know what stoicism is, but I think that we need to teach our children and we ourselves, if we need that emotional intelligence and regulation, I do it myself. I practice the meditations of Marcus Aurelius. It helps you regulate your emotions. But our boys, especially, need to learn about stoicism. I think it'll be a great teaching that all of these boys can benefit from and men. But I just wanted to say that y'all have the floor again.
Right. I definitely agree with
that
everything you said, Candid, as well as Mika. I just want us, whether you're, whether you're in support of Austin or Mr. Carmelo, we all need to teach our kids that just because somebody is wrong doesn't mean that you can be wrong too. So, for instance, I very well think Austin was wrong. If he put his hands on that boy, he is wrong. He was wrong. And I think that Carmelo was wrong for what he did as well. And we've got to teach our kids that every action has consequences. And I think that that's what Miss Mika was trying to pinpoint is these parents are having to clean up the mess that two young boys made that day when they couldn't walk away. Or just do the right thing and hey, just leave it alone. So we need to teach our kids that every action has a reaction.
Absolutely.
And that's all. And I think whether you're, I don't like the fact that we're saying, oh, Austin is the bad guy, and I don't like the fact that some people are saying, oh, Carmela is the bad guy. I think both people made two bad choices that day, and it came to this what we're talking about right now.
So in reference to that, I'm just gonna call it what it is. Per what's out there, it's the aggressor. Just calling it what it is. It was the
I
aggressor.
would, ML, I would disagree with you on that.
I don't care about you disagreeing. It's not about what you think. I'm only
Well,
talking
no,
about what the
no, what
report is. I'm not talking
Right.
about what you said. I'm talking about what the actual report is. And the report out there is having him being as such. I don't care for the more so of what anybody has to say, eyewitness accounts, until there's an official report from the police. As it stands right now, it is
Right.
showing him to be the aggressor. However, that doesn't mean that anything else is going to come out. What in terms of what is to be proven, obviously, if it's premeditated, if he had an agenda prior to, why did he have the knife?
Right.
Whatever. Yeah, that needs to be determined. But you can't go around, and people are on TikTok that I've heard today are saying, well, it was just because he pushed him, it didn't give him the right to use that form of force. Well, in terms of staying your law ground, which is in Texas, you can read it. It doesn't imply that you have to be reciprocal of the same, push him back. No,
So your life has to be then. Your life has to be.
ML, I would
They're
challenge
on
you on
school
that
premises.
because you can't.
Yeah,
Here's
but
the
even
thing, at those school events, ML,
You're stretching.
at
You're
those school
stretching.
events,
No, I'm not stretching. I'm not stretching
ML, at
whatsoever.
those school events, you're not allowed to have a weapon.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. So
Right.
you argue that point all day long. You want to argue
Right.
that? Yeah, they charge him with having a
Right.
whatever type
In
of knife
Texas,
he
the
got.
way
I
it
don't know if
works
it's
is you
5
cannot
inches
have no
above. You
knife
can
on the
charge.
school ground, and if you do, you get expelled for 180.
Exactly.
You're fine.
You're not allowed to have that.
And bear in mind,
Charge him
I
with
live
that.
in Frisco. I live in the area this all went down, so I'm very tapped in. And I know like what's been going on.
Charge him
Can
with
you
that.
give us some information?
Yeah,
Mitch?
I'm in
Well,
Cali, and I
here's how
spoke
it
to
works.
two other friends. We had a
Hold on one second.
go ahead.
Okay, hold
No,
on.
no,
one
let True
second.
Lion speak. Let him speak. Let him speak. Let him speak.
Wait,
So-
hold on. Okay, wait. So True Lion's gonna go, and after True Lion, Mad Skill. But True Lion, I get
Hey.
that these maybe two friends are that these children or friends give a police report.
No, they didn't, and that's what pissed me off.
All right, so it's just like hearsay, and
Yeah.
I mean, you can go ahead and say something about it, but it's hearsay.
Yeah, I'm not
unless
going.
it's-
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
wasn't even going to bring that up. I was bringing up the fact that at the end of the day, I'm in California, and in California, if you 200 feet, if you're 200 feet within the school, and you have a knife or a pew-pew on you, you're automatically going to jail. So for me, I was raised, and if I had to look at it, I looked at it from my son's point of view. If my son walked up into a school with a weapon on him, and this happened, I'm not visiting you. I'm not visiting you in jail, period. Why did you have a knife? That's it. Why did you have a knife? Because if we remove the knife from the situation, then we end up with what?
he's going to get suspended.
Knock on it.
He may get kicked out. So, my son, I'm not going to uphold you in your bullshit. Why did you have that goddamn knife at school? We're going to have a conversation. Why the hell for me to have a son, and for me to have 60 football players, all under the age of 17, we gonna dance in the sun, all of us. I don't get two fucks about it. I'm sorry, Candy, but you know how I get. Why did you have a knife?
So in reference to that, everybody will be alluding and speculating. There hasn't been any confirmed evidence as to the reason why he has had a knife, whether it was
There's no
5
evidence,
inches
but the
or
person
less.
was stabbed. The person was stabbed.
Yeah, the
Where did
person
not
was
come
stabbed.
from out of thin air?
Well, again, you arguing a point that you don't know much about. You don't know the reason why he had it.
Was he? There's no reason. You should not have. You shouldn't have.
You don't
You
know
should not
that.
have a
You
knife.
don't. You
You're
don't know.
17 years old.
It doesn't matter why he had it.
So
It
once
doesn't
again,
matter.
and once again, A. Marie and True Lion, there is no specific evidence out there that the Frisco police has released as it pertains to why, in fact, he did.
It does not matter.
So now the
why
law
he
don't
had
matter.
it.
So it doesn't matter what the police
It
say.
doesn't matter why he had
Yes,
it,
it
ML,
does.
because guess
He
what?
put it in his
He was
bag and
on
brought
a
it.
school, sir. He was at a school event. It does not matter why he had it.
But so it doesn't matter
You're
why
not
he had
allowed
it.
to have it.
We should go on what you
Sir.
have to say.
Sir, it does
All right.
not matter
Okay.
why he
Listen,
had it.
I get what both of y'all are saying. I think it does matter, and I also don't think it matters. It does matter because they may use the fact that he could have pre-planned this attack.
Right.
So,
Correct.
and it doesn't matter
Yes, sir.
because he was wrong for having it on campus, regardless of the reason why. So I
Okay,
get
this
what
is why I
both of you
correct
are
y'all.
saying.
This wasn't a literal school, but this was a stadium owned by the school district, but the school grounds nonetheless.
Okay, well,
Because
thank you. So go ahead. I would
there
like
is
to
a
hear
bit of
what you have to
confusion.
say.
There's a
Go
bit
ahead.
of confusion because the Metcalfs went to Memorial High School, which I used to go to, and the stadium they were at was Kuykendall Stadium, previously known as Memorial Stadium. So there's a bit of confusion. It's not that Memorial Stadium is a part of the high school. It's two separate buildings and campuses. But the stadium is just owned by the district. Memorial High School is the high school that the Metcalfs went to. Whereas Karmelo went to Centennial High School, which is 15 minutes away from Memorial.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
what I'm saying
okay,
is
so hold
Reset
on
your
one
life, bro.
second. Okay, so now my question is: this wasn't on school campus, right? Is that what you just said?
It wasn't on campus, but it was on school grounds, though.
Right,
On
school grounds.
Yeah,
Okay,
school property.
did they have like a security entry point?
Like metal detectors? No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. They don't know. In Frisco, where we're at, bro, they don't do that. So that's why there's so many people. They will have all sorts of contraband. Like, you can come to school, you'll see kids with vapes, with with THC, dab pens, knives. I've even seen a kid come in with bullets, bro. Believe it or not.
All right, so him. Okay, well, I was just asking because many people said it was on school property or school grounds. So
It's part of the school district, though. That's what it is.
it's a part of the school district, but again, it wasn't a school. So I just wanted to know if he's automatically going to be charged with that felony for having a knife on his person.
Well, yeah, he probably will because it was owned by the school district. There's that.
School grounds.
And here's
it
the thing.
depends on the length of the knife. That
No,
has
it
to be
doesn't.
concluded.
Not for a student. Even a butter knife is considered a weapon if you bring it.
Man, it's in
California.
Texas.
I mean,
Just
it's
go
not-
read Texas code in reference to that.
You're talking. Okay.
But to be honest, we have to kind of be honest with ourselves here and be realistic. He unalived someone on school grounds with a weapon that typically would not be permitted on any school grounds. Okay, so we just have to look at the facts. What is true? And that we can say that is true. Everything else that's going to come out.
That is not argued. That's not to be argued.
Right.
My question will be: it's not that he unalived the boy. We know that. We know the reason behind. At least part of the reason why he even attempted to do it in the first place.
That traces back to days prior from that, because there was a party.
I would like to know what led up to this. What was the reason? What was his motive for bringing it? Amongst other things. Obviously, you need to know the length of it, which is how you would classify it as being a felony or something else. There's several things behind it that are still missing out of the case. And what I'm saying is that I'm not defending him and doing. Well, actually, if it was self-defense, then by all means, he had no reason putting his hands on him. I don't care about the whole family. Y'all get all caught up in the kids and the mother and father thing. I don't know them from any other person. But I'm just being honest.
ML, do you
I
have
have
a problem?
general.
Do you think that it's?
Ma'am,
Do you think
I'm talking. I don't need you interrupting me just because you're very passionate about it. That's your business.
I'm
Here,
not passionate. I was just asking you a question. That's all I was asking you.
what's your question?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got all up in arms, so I mean, never mind. I mean,
Well, it wasn't important. So again, in
okay.
reference to the actual
You don't
case
have to be
itself.
aggressive, sir. You don't have to be
Can I,
aggressive.
ML, after you
Wait a
after you
minute.
end, can I respond?
ML is coming through here like Blade.
Right, he's talking about I'm passionate. He's super passionate over
ML
people.
flashing. ML is flashing everybody.
I think a
That boy
point that
firing
ML
on
might
all
be
Wait a minute.
missing.
Now I can't sit
Oh, yeah.
up with
He's
this.
too passionate
ML
about people he
said,
doesn't know.
wait. ML said, what do you want to say? You said you forgot something. ML said it wasn't important. Okay.
Yeah, so we got that quick. No disrespect.
Well,
you
you
need to
talk
get on
over
his
people
defense
too,
team.
ML. You talk over
Oh
a lot
my
of people as well.
goodness. ML is quick with it. It's funny.
They
but
need to
go
hire
ahead.
ML on Anthony's defense at this point.
He's
That's what I'm
not quicker
saying.
than I am. I
You
just
need
don't
to get
care
on
enough to argue
the
with him.
defense team because he's passionate about it. So I think he would
No,
make a
I'm
good
not,
member.
I'm
Yeah.
not even that passionate about it, man. I'm just simply about the facts. I'm honest. I don't know either one
Hey,
of these
how y'all
boys, right?
doing?
I don't know
Good.
Anthony. I mean, I don't know Karmelo, and I don't know Austin Metcalf. All right, I do have general empathy in terms of I have a child, but that's it. That's as far as it goes. Whether he gets convicted or not convicted, or he gets released, okay, cool. Guess what I'm gonna do? Move on. But in the case of what's actually out there as deemed as fact as of right now, Austin is looked at as the aggressor. In this case, what people are seem to be arguing about is the fact that he used a knife in order to defend himself, which led to the unaliving, which is
but a knife
understandable.
But I want us to be a little
Apples
bit
to
more
apples.
logical here, just a little bit, right? This case is going to be huge because this is a case of a student bringing a weapon on school grounds to a school event, right? That ended up being used in unaliving another student.
Right.
So in the case if he wins this case, then that means you will have plenty of students using this case as to why they brought
Yep, a precedent has been
weapons
set.
with them on school grounds and unalive another student. So you have to realize this is a huge case for so many reasons, but this is like, this is going to be the case that's used to defend somebody else or not defend someone else as a reference point for who's justified and who's not.
You're right,
No,
Valerie.
wait
I
a
don't
minute.
want
Wait,
my
we're not
kids to go to
arguing. Wait a
school.
minute. We're not arguing whether or not he could bring a weapon on campus.
No, I know. I'm just saying that it's going to be a pretty detrimental case because I don't think we've had anything like it in history. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we have students now who are paying attention. Kids are paying attention. There may be kids with not so good intentions that want to see what happens to this kid because the main thing that the main issue is he brought a weapon onto a school ground, which means that in the case another kid tries to do the same thing, will they be justified in the future or will they not?
That makes
It's
case
called
law.
precedent.
In
It's
reference
called
to that,
precedent. It's going to be
and-
precedent. So whatever happens here, if somebody else is, let's say, for instance, somebody is getting bullied at school, and then they bring something to school, and then the bully puts their hands on them, and then something happens, if he wins this case, they can use this as precedent for what happened to get off because it's case law.
Hold on. So are you all saying that children or the state or Texas will change their laws to allow weapons on campus now? Because
I'm saying that
what's going to happen is they're just going to interpret the law.
So then let me get this straight. If he gets off, then we're saying that students could use a pencil or something, whatever's on their person, to attack the bully. That's what we're saying. And I think
Well, she's just saying it creates
so I'm not saying
case
this
law.
to justify
It
what I'm
creates
saying.
case
I don't
law.
want this to get misconstrued.
But what I'm
I'm not
saying is,
justifying
again,
this.
what I'm saying is they can already do that. Whatever's on their person, they can use to attack the other person.
But this
it doesn't have to be a knife. So I'm not
I
going to
guess
assume that all these children are going to start bringing knives to school.
No,
you have to understand that in this particular case, the reason why I'm looking at it this way is because this student did have a knife. So
I
this would
understand.
be
something to look at, because if he gets off, and I'm just saying this is all hypothetical, right? Who's to say that another student won't be at another track meet with a knife and be approached, use that weapon on someone, and get off for self-defense?
I don't think that's something that
there's
we.
not enough facts out there.
But I'm just saying, like,
Valley,
I get what you're saying, but right now, even after this, they have beefed up security. So if anything and any changes are made, I would think that they're now going to make sure at the port of entry into these events, everyone is checked by security, not students just willy-nilly bringing weapons to school because they have a bully and using this case to justify using a weapon in school against a bully. That's not what I think is going to happen.
No, but what I think what she means is if he won, if the defense presented a case where he won,
right,
where he brought a weapon, a knife onto school property, and he won, what that does is it creates case law. So all future cases will be basing it on this case that he got away with it. So it's based on case law. Case law is
right.
So that's what that means. It creates new case law, which every jury every defense attorney will use in the future to argue cases based on this decision.
To cite self-defense, right? That's what's going to happen.
Well, the only thing I see this guy getting,
I get it.
provide nothing else, because I've seen it. They're trying to already tarnish the boy's image already with saying he got other QPUs on other pages that he may have and all
He
that.
does.
Et cetera, et
He
cetera.
does. I have video. I've got pictures of it. I can post them, but I'm not.
So
He does.
That's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the case.
But
Well, you better be
expected
okay.
you to do that.
All right. Well, look. You're gonna be judged by public opinion, so he should have put the goddamn pictures up there.
Well,
I understand
I'm
what you're
sorry,
saying, but
that's
we ain't
not,
the
that's
same
not
mindset.
actually how law works. So.
We don't have. I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. It's
You
made.
don't.
I understand what you're saying, but it's human nature. You can say what you want, ML. I get what you're saying. At the end of the day, we all don't think like you, ML.
Exactly, ML.
Well, as someone that works in that well, I'm not gonna even cite that. That's irrelevant. Point is this: regardless, people. This is what they did. This is classic. And what they did to Trayvon Martin. After the situation, they justified George Foreman doing what he did to Trayvon Martin. Even talked about he had, green in his system. He was incoherent. All of these different things, they justified it. And stand your ground was appropriate. It was the law, and that's all it was the law. Now, and then he wasn't even the aggressor, but because he fought back. In this instance, this person not even the aggressor, at least from what we know right now, stood his ground, used an object to unalive a person.
Yeah, but you're not comparing apples to apples.
You're not comparing apples to apples. That's your opinion. This is why we have an opinion. I have one and you have one. Thank you.
Y'all know the biggest problem with this case is that there are a lack of facts right now.
Correct. There are a lack of facts.
Can he talk,
I've mentioned it
ML?
several
Can
times.
somebody else talk with you, please?
I just wanted to correct ML too. It's George Zimmerman, not George Foreman.
Jason.
George Zimmerman. The point is that the law applied then when it came to stand your ground. Now the law doesn't apply. It doesn't matter what the law has to say. Should have never done it. He should never put anything in his hands. It's just funny to me now that it's changed. Go ahead, man.
All right, Jason, did you go yet?
No, ma'am.
Okay, how you doing, Jason? Thank you for your
Hope
service.
you're enjoying your walk. And
I am.
So there's a lot of opinions on this case, and I tell people all the time when all these news stories break, give it time so they can get the facts and get it out there, because everybody goes with it and they come on TikTok and they blow it up. I'm sorry, can't say that word, TikTok shop. But, that's the problem with this. Everybody comes on and, everybody's a lawyer. And it's, the fact of the matter is you've got 3 kids. One of them is no longer with us. You got 2 kids that their lives are never going to be the same. 2 families that are going to be going down the same path. And at the end of the day, a lot of us are parents, and I'll tell you that as a parent of teenagers, my son got into a fight at school last year, and wouldn't you know that it was on video? That the kids knew it were coming, and so they videoed. I would almost guarantee that somebody probably knew this was coming, and there's going to be video of them because kids have always got their phones in their hands, no matter what, no matter where they're at.
Good point.
So I'm sure there's going to be video evidence of what really happened. Now, will they put it out to the public? Probably not. Is it already there? Probably is.
But like Valley said earlier too, they're also going to check all their phones, all their acquaintances, every contact, every text, anything from the party, from what led up to this. I mean, obviously there's so much, but I think we all can agree on one thing though. And again, two families I just got to pray for both families. And look, I honestly, my heart, even if maybe he did want to come and antagonize him, maybe not, like Karmelo, maybe he was angry from the party. Maybe he brought a knife to scare him. I think in my heart, I believe 100% he did not intend to kill him. He's not that kind of person. It shows he's an honor student. He's an athlete.
Yeah. He said, the kid, Karmelo said, is he going to be all right? You can look at the statement, part of the statement he said, is he going to be okay? If you look at his mugshot, this kid ain't about that life.
No.
Carmelo ain't about that
look
life.
at the mugshot, you can see them tears in his eyes and everything.
My background, the background that I have in law enforcement, bro, this kid was scared shitless. This kid was scared. All right. So let's keep it 100. Even though what he did was wrong, this kid was scared. All right.
I'm glad you mentioned that about law enforcement, because even then, as personal thing, yeah, I'm going to be, I'm actually pivoting to the side of Karmelo in this instance. However, my opinion aside, I don't know anything about him. I don't know if there was actually a fight previously, because it hasn't been confirmed. I don't know if he had any.
The culture we living in, the culture that these kids are living by, is a toxic culture. It's a very toxic culture.
Yep.
You look at the situation with John Morant, the shit that he's shut this toxic culture down with these kids. It's in the video games, it's in the music, it's in the movies. We have to do our part, because at the end of the day, when they get caught up in some shit, it's us. We have to flip the bill. We have to be there. And some of these parents are going to get in trouble for this shit.
Yes, agree. Especially in like what you said with gaming culture. Have y'all sat and listened to someone, your kids or anyone that that plays video games, turn on their mic when they're streaming and playing against other people? The language that I'm hearing 10-year-olds and all these other people with little voices say. I mean, do we have an issue with toxic masculinity and people thinking that you have to puff your chest up and be a tough guy to be a man? Or to whatever.
I don't think so. I don't think it's toxic masculinity. I don't believe in toxic masculinity. I think
I don't either.
Anything in excess can be toxic, but men being men, boys being boys, you're going to get aggression. You're going to get people getting skinned up knees, people getting punched, and you're also going to get them possibly being friends the next day. So this is a part of men and boys being boys, not the stabbing part, even the aggression. That is boys. Now, how they manage their masculinity, how they manage their aggression, their emotions, and how they regulate it, that's something that's a learned behavior. And they have to also consciously and intentionally be taught that. But both of those boys were doing, again, the picture that I'm going to paint for both of them to justify both of their behaviors. If Karmelo was not supposed to be there, and those people had their personal belongings there, which they normally do, they leave them in the stand in the bleachers. Austin had every right, and I would want, even if it was my son, to make sure my belongings are safe, to ask Karmelo to leave. Now, did Austin have a right to put his hands on him? Absolutely not. And Carmelo had every right to defend himself. Those were both boys and people being people. Now, how both of them responded, they both could have did that differently. I believe a mistake was made by both of those young fellas, which cost both of them their lives. But in no way do I think it's toxic. I think it's a mistake, and we all make mistakes. But I can't blame that on toxicity.
So can I
Hey,
say,
Ken.
can I
Well,
say
here's the
toxic? When
thing,
I
though.
say
I'll
toxic
end with this. I
masculinity,
like to see men being men. I
Yep.
like to see a controlled aggression. I
Mm-hmm.
like to see control. I like to see men and boys expressing and exhibiting masculinity. I don't care how it looks, but I also think that self-regulation is necessary in this hour. That's
Hey,
all.
right?
Candy,
So
real
that's what.
quick,
So when
real
I
quick,
said,
real
can I
quick.
just piggyback? I just want to be clear. So when I said toxic masculinity, I'm not saying masculinity as a whole is toxic. I think masculinity can be turned into a toxic thing when people are not using their masculinity in the right way and they're completely crashing out,
Well,
like not managing their emotions. They make it toxic.
the absence of masculinity is toxic. The
I
absence of
believe
masculinity is toxic.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
so me being a man, ladies, if you cannot identify masculinity, I think you. But when you have men telling you the absence of masculinity is toxic, now we're dealing with something. But I'm gonna go back to the
I can
famous
rephrase
movie.
that, and I can agree with you
Hold
on
on,
that.
hold on. The I like to go back to a classic movie, Friday, when Craig was getting ready to go fight
I know
Debo.
where you going.
Oh
And
yeah.
Craig opened up his drawer and his dad walked in there. He said, "What you doing with that? Why do you need that for protection?" He said, "No,
Right.
put
And
it,
then
put it,
eventually Craig
He
pulled it
said,
out on
he,
Wait,
Debo
wait.
he
Let him
eventually.
said,
finish. Let him finish.
bro, God damn it, man." He said, put up your dukes. He said, "This is all you need. You win some, you lose some, but at the end of the day,
You
you're
live
gonna
to fight
live.
another day.
You live to fight another day." See, here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's a lot of fathers that don't agree with what Carmelo Anthony did. A majority of the fathers don't agree with what he did because we think, I'm gonna be real with you, we think Carmelo was a coward because he should have put these up. This is what he should have did, and it would have been a different situation. See, that's the problem. You guys, a lot of you guys don't have kids, and I get it. But if your kid was in that situation, you would be having this come to Jesus moment in your house, like, damn, why did he take that knife to that damn school?
Miss Sandy, I'm
Why
gonna
did he
bring you
take
back
that
up.
knife to school? Why did he bring that knife to school?
Sorry, can I be dropped? I just gotta take care of my kids. We got an event
Yep.
right
Thank
now.
you, Valley Home
All
Girl. I
right, thank you so
appreciate
much.
you. It's been great hearing from you. All right. I think I have 2 new people coming up. Give me one moment.
I mean, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Okay. Next skill. Did you already went, right?
I never really got a chance to really
Okay.
go.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the thing is, like I said earlier, I live in Frisco, Texas. I went to Memorial High School. I graduated there a semester early before everybody else. And I've seen like Hunter and Austin Metcalf like across the school. And I don't like the vibe they give off as people. Tall, frat boys, full of themselves. It led to Austin's like it was to Austin. Caused him to fall back and land on his ass. And when that happened, he broke his phone from there. So there was that. Then you have the track meet at Memorial Stadium. Well, Kuykendall Stadium to be exact, but I'm more used to calling it Memorial Stadium. So there's a track meet at Kuykendall a couple of days ago. So it's a school district like UIO like track meet. You got Frisco Memorial High School, Hayward, Jefferson, Centennial, you name it. So there's all of that. And here's the thing. But the Metcalf brothers, they were on track. But this was a JV track meet. So they were on varsity, but the coaches had called them down to parent meetings to help set up with supplies. Because you know that going to these sporting events, it's a public event. Anybody could show up and show out. And they need a lot of people to come and set up with the things. Here's the thing, though. So it was a rain delay a couple of days ago, like when the thing went down. So everybody, they move up the tents to the bleachers and everything. It's raining. So doing what you would is a natural instinct. You just go find shelter. You're trying to stay all dry, not get all wet, and then eventually you're sick from that, God forbid. So in Karmelo's instance, he gets to the tent and but anywho, but there's all of that. So there's one thing from going to tent. That's not the issue. Because when I was in middle school and when I was a freshman in high school,
Wait, that's not the issue, but can you keep going from there? Because I get it.
because see,
What's the issue?
the tent is not the issue. It really starts when the Metcalfs, they run up on Karmelo and they're talking to him with an aggressive tone, talking about get the fuck out of here. And eventually, well, they didn't literally say that, but you get the point coming from. They were like harassing and pushing him around. They grabbed his backpack, they threw it off, and then Karmelo was telling them, "You keep touching me again, see what's going to happen." He warned them from there. That should have been the get-go. Don't do this. Shit is going to escalate, and shit is going to hit the fan. And then from there, that's when they kept on keeping it up around. And Karmelo went for his bag for the knife and stabbed Austin Metcalf. I'm sorry. What is the word for that I could say this TikTok? He dragged it across his chest. Let's just say it like that. He dragged it across his chest, and then Austin Metcalf passed on the way to the hospital a couple months later.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that doesn't sound good for Karmelo if that's really what happened.
It doesn't. Yeah.
That doesn't sound good. It don't sound good because he showed up under that tent. There's too many too many coincidences that happen. You got into it with somebody. You have a weapon in your backpack. You show up under their tent. And it's giving premeditated.
Well, even if it wasn't,
I hope that that's not true.
All right, so this is what I want to do
if it
real
was a
quick.
matter of
Hold on 1 second, Matt. I want to do this for all of my subscribers that's in here. I'm gonna ask each one of these panelists a question, and I want them to give their candid opinions. So my subscribers that's in here, make sure y'all drop y'all stickers as they're talking. I want to know y'all thoughts on it. So do I have any subscribers in here? I have like 25 of y'all. Maybe y'all ain't in here.
Can I get back to my point?
Hold on. I mean, I thought maybe can you land?
Can I what?
Okay, cool. All right. I see you in here. All right. Make sure you, hey y'all, how y'all doing? Hey, make sure she learned how to skate.
Oh no, she knows how to skate. It's the heel.
Oh, okay.
It was. I think it was 100% self-defense because
the Metcalf ran up on him.
Can you land? Hold on. Let me let him land.
Bear in mind.
Go ahead and land and drop those stickers. I want to see y'all thoughts as these individuals are talking.
All right, but bear in mind
so go ahead. Land your plan. 30 seconds.
The Metcalf brothers, you do realize that these are two giants. They're both 6 foot plus, 200 plus pounds on the football team.
You're playing.
What are you gonna do if two giants they run up on you, the intention of harassing you, and eventually you do realize that Austin Metcalf, he initiated contact as he punched Karmelo in the jaw. Now, people say the police report doesn't say that, but you do realize Hunter Metcalf came out and said that Austin initiated it to begin with, and he was in the wrong for that. So now this is not just one instance because there was a party a few days prior to that, and now there's a track. This is Austin starting things not once and twice, and he just so happens to pay the price with his life now. Not that I'm saying he deserved it.
Metzke, I think what you're missing here, Metzke, I agree with all that. I think that Austin probably was the aggressor under the tent. The problem is that if you have an altercation, listen to this. If I had an altercation with somebody and I show up to their job and I got something in my backpack and we get into a fight and he came to where they were at. That's the problem. You can't come
I disagree.
Metzky, I'm not in disagree. You can disagree all you want to, but that's the law. That people have gotten literally prosecuted for that. You
Okay,
can
so
disagree all you want to, but he came. What it's looking like is it was premeditated. He went there. If that's the truth, I don't know. You're saying that that's what happened. If he did that,
Carmelo
he
was
came
on the
to that
track team. He was designated
okay,
to be
so
there,
let
but
me
we
can I
can't say the
ask
same about the
can I ask a
Metcalf.
question because I've been listening, right? So the issue where it comes down to is this for me. If Carmelo Anthony, like his brother has stated before, was sitting under the tent when they approached, meaning they were not there when he sat down. So Carmelo Anthony was already there sitting at the bench. Mind you, most likely there were people all around Carmelo Anthony that were on the same team or from the same school as the other boys.
Jason, I'm gonna bring you back up.
As the other boys at that, right? I ask you the question, knowing that there most likely were other individuals from
JP, I'm gonna bring you back up.
from another
JP.
school, from the school that those boys went to. Why did those boys feel necessary to approach Carmelo Anthony sitting at where he was sitting?
They punked it once and they felt as if they could get away with it again.
I don't disagree. Hold on, Metzky. He's asking me this question. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think that Austin was very much wrong. What I'm saying from a lawyer standpoint, the law standpoint, if you got into an altercation with what he's saying, if they got in an altercation prior and he shows up to that tent and he has a weapon in his backpack, that shows a premeditation there. That's what you guys are missing. You can see how you want to.
Well, the thing
That's what Metzky said. He said that there was an altercation.
What you don't understand is that this is a JV track meet, and they were on varsity.
Right.
You don't know that he hasn't run summer track with those other kids. You don't know who he knows from the same school. They were 15 minutes.
He doesn't go to that school, man.
It doesn't matter. They're only 15 minutes apart.
He doesn't go to that school.
But that was a
The
UIL.
Metcalfs had still had a reputation of picking on Carmelo either way.
Wait, that was a UIL regional track meet. He was supposed to be there. Mind you, the boys were not supposed to be there. He was supposed to be there.
Exactly.
Carmelo Anthony was supposed to be there.
Guess what?
He wasn't supposed to be under the tent.
Guess
All
what?
right,
Okay,
I'm gonna okay. It's 167 people
Well,
here.
here's the thing.
I'm gonna put up. Hold on one second. I'm gonna put up a poll, and I want you all to please oblige me with this poll. The poll. Hold on. I have the quick one. The poll will be whether or not you think this was premeditated. So for 5 minutes, do you think Carmelo's actions were premeditated? Go ahead and pull it up, and we're going to have 5 minutes for everyone to take part in it. I just want to take the temperature of the room.
I honestly feel like that he was in fear for his life. It was two big boys that were bullying him previous to this event or to this incident.
So I'll just say this.
All right, so right above me, there is a poll. Y'all see the poll?
Yeah, I see it.
So right here, y'all see that poll right there? Can y'all just click on that poll and answer the question?
Yes,
do
ma'am.
y'all believe, based on the conversation that we've had, what you've read, do you believe Carmelo Anthony's actions were premeditated? There's a poll right here above my head. You see where that number is and that check mark? That's the poll. You click on it.
So let me just say this, Candid. So I don't, per reports,